Hi guys, and welcome once again. Today I'm going to be speaking on a young female about I believe she was about 2021, and she made her journey to the United States from the middle of the world, Ecuador. She traveled by herself meaning she had no family with her. Single mom uh, of a short stature. I guess you would consider her thin, short. And in this journey, she was accompanied by a coyote that was actually entrusted to her, and one other female. So as they start their journey, um, they would start off with the bus, maybe a shuttle in between there, and they start making their way up the actual their trip up north. Well, you know the potentials that can happen to females in these type of situations, and when I spoke with her, she said she had a female companion that they never separated, and they actually they covered themselves almost like how a field worker would actually cover themselves. They would cover their entire face. They would wear a hat. They disguised. They would actually tuck in their hair so they would not be detected as females, and wore loose clothing so everybody would get the impression it was the actual male along with the group, so they wouldn't actually, you know, you know what could happen. So as they're traveling, oh, by the way, they, she did have to start birth control a few months prior to her actual departure for that same reason. So as soon as they start making their way up, it's a long journey, partial train, even a small glider at one point, a Cessna, I think, and and they ate what they could. They personal hygiene as they could, but you have to be actually a very strong person to actually go through with this actual trip because there are a lot of inconveniences in this actual travel. Okay, you have to consider the restroom, sleep, of liquids, food, medication. You talk about 30 days. 30 days, anything can happen in 30 days, and anything can happen in 30 days. So as they're making their way up, um, this actual coyote is actually true to his word. He's getting them to their destination, and they say they make good progress, between like uh between seasons, actually from hop to hop, and yeah, they had all the weather all the way through. There was no short of weather, according to her, on this actual trip. Now, as I stated before, that I learned from Shadow not to actually mention anybody's money on these actual type of videos, but it was up there. Her final bill was high. So if you can figure easily, this is a long time. No, this is about 8 years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Uh, I'm thinking 30000. No, 30. Yeah, 30000. Yeah, at the lowest. That's at the lowest. Okay, and families are going to pay that money because they want their loved ones to show up in one piece. That's the reality of it. And as they make their journey and they sneak onto actual, train cars, and the whole, I guess, Huckleberry Finn type, I mean, just go with the flow. And along the way, these coyotes, they have actually safe houses, not safe houses, but, yeah, I guess they would be considered safe houses here in California. So they can get a good night, I mean, some kind of rest, food, and some kind of personal hygiene and take care of business, not just go out in the bush, like you have to. So, they make their way in. 30 days later, they actually get dropped off at the border near a border patrol station and are instructed to just walk that direction. Now, this coyote had no intention of actually crossing these individuals into the United States. No, that's not what he agreed to. He agreed to actually get them from their point A to the United States across the fence. That's it. That's it. That's all he committed himself to. No obligation. That's the only obligation he actually put up, and that's a fair assumption. He's according to her, he put it up there at the beginning. He said, "There's no way I can get you guys across. I did my job. Walk this way," and they turned themselves in. And that's the best thing that could have happened to these two females and the rest of the group. They're what you would call OTMs, other than Mexican. And other than Mexican, you have to actually do a lot of paperwork. Trust me, a lot of paperwork. But the fact that you just can't put them on a bus and then set them down south, you can't do that. So once you actually uh, turn yourself in, they're going to take you into custody. They're going to take you into an actual, uh, I guess, a clinic environment. And I don't want to say delouse, but they will give them a quick physical, and they would actually make sure they don't have lice or any kind of insects, any kind of infections. They do that, take that into consideration, and the actual medics are actual military medics, the ones that actually uh, do these kind of procedures. They're actually officers in the military. It doesn't matter which kind of officer, what kind of branch. A medic's a medic in that kind of a clinic environment. And they'll give a test if they need something done. If they have any kind of complications, they will give them medical treatment. And once they get them all washed up, like I said, when they're coming off the bush after 30 days, you might have picked something up along the way. So after that, they'll actually incarcerate them, unfortunately. And as I can't say for all actual detention centers, but the private ones in San Diego were actually clean. And I know this because I've actually delivered there on the private sector medical supplies, and I've actually gone through the whole procedure, and I've actually gone into units at that at one of the detention centers in San Diego by Otay. So once you get actually sent there, what happens is you won't get sent in with any kind of prison element, any kind of criminal element. They'll separate them by uniforms, and basically they're incarcerated while they're being processed through the immigration. And they'll have a court at that actual facility. They'll have everything that an immigration case would need. They have there actually, and they're actually given an option to. They're given a chance to actually work at the facility and earn whatever they can earn on the actual on their books. But I can tell you that this actual type of trip and journey, it's very common and very expensive, and they don't all end with good results. And she actually applied for amnesty, and she was actually given a hearing on that. And her family exactly is out of the East Coast in the New Jersey area, and they already were expecting her. They already had actual plans for her. They already had actual um, goals for her before she even arrived. But there was a little glitch. she was to get released because she was no longer able to be she was no longer in custody any longer. She has gotten her asylum hearing, and she had an actual lawyer, and they she had made plans with another actual inmate that got released before her, and they were going to take her in for like 8 days, 8 to 10 days. And we all know how that goes. So now she is actually released. But before then, um, I had an associate, I guess, an acquaintance, uh, a female acquaintance in that actual facility, but not on the private sector. I met her at the actual at San Isidro, but now she's at the private sector at this facility at an immigration detention center, right? And she'd give me the heads up and says, "Hey, yo, I got this female." She explained to me the situation. She's like, and they spent pretty much a good amount of money on bringing her up here. Now, the number I gave earlier, double that plus four. Okay, so double what I mentioned the number earlier, and then plus four, and that's what her bill was already up to, just to get her to San Diego, and she still has to get to New York or New Jersey, wherever that's at, wherever she's gonna land. So she had to be set up somewhere around San Diego County for her to go meet her lawyers and get her paper processed and get her actual uh, flying documents to actually fly, so that ICE would not actually give her, Homeland Security would not give her a hard time. So everything from this point on had to be legal, everything had to be on paper, and everything had to be stamped, right? So she had called me and gave me the heads up, and I was like, kind of like, you know, really thinking about it, because I mean, 8 days. I mean, I'm not a babysitter, but then again, you don't know this person, right? So I took into consideration uh my friend, my friend, and she says, what, I wouldn't do this for anybody else, and I've never asked you for anything. I know you can do it. Can you please lend a hand? I said, sure. I mean, there's no problem, right? So, anyways, so she's still with the hope that she's gonna meet that other individual that was gonna help her out, the other inmate that was gonna help her out that was already released, right? No answer, no go. Okay, now it's already after 10 o'clock, right? Now I'm in the city waiting because it's still yes or no, and now it's no, and now on the backup, and then later they took her downtown, they released her, and let her make one phone call. Okay, that phone call I'll never forget. Okay, because this actual female, she was traumatized. She was traumatized, and I understand she's from a different culture, and her dialect is different. It's more of a speed actual Spanish. It's speeded up like 10% or 20%, and she's just, and I'm like, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a joke until at the end she says, "Please, you are going to pick me up. I'm here in downtown by myself. I have nowhere to go. Please tell me you're going to pick me up. Please tell me you're on your way." And I was like, man, you could just hear the actual, the trauma that she had. And I'm not saying that she had no more trust in humanity, but I don't know. And I never asked her what had happened along the way. It was if she wanted to talk about it, that's fine, everything. But she got released as she came in with nothing, right? And as a female, you need your necessities. So what am I supposed to do, right? I mean, but they did. Her family did send money down, and I got the funds They got the funds to me, and she had spending money. She had to buy everything. She had to buy all new, underwear, all the female stuff that you guys get. So she had to actually physically go into the store, and I didn't even know where to take her. It was late at night. It was just a lot of. It was planned, but it wasn't planned. I was supposed to be the backup, and I ended up being the front runner. So, uh, I get there, I figure if we meet each other, there's still the hope that this actual individual's gonna answer. No, no answer still. So I said, okay, well, let's go. So we head for the hills. And I set her up, and I set her up with the phone so she can communicate with her family, and a little bit of internet, so that way she can communicate back home from her native country. And her child. And he was a baby too. He was a small baby, so he was probably be the next one that come up. You know what I mean? But hopefully legally and hopefully on paper. Not to be trusted with anybody else. But she was up there on price, man. It was expensive. It was a down payment on a house. I can tell you that it would have been a good down payment on a house at the number that she was already at. In California. That's a lot. So she ended up. I ended up. Uh, Making her. She ended up making all her lawyer appointments, and put this. Her lawyer didn't even flinch. She didn't even actually bother asking where she was staying. She could have been in the street for all she knows. For all he knows. And so, but we set her up nice, and she had communication. Um, she had trust in us actually, and at the end, she got her final paperwork. She got her packet, and I took her to the airport and handed her over. I actually handed her over to ICE, DHS. Actually handed it over to her, and they took her and they boarded her, and she went with her family in New Jersey. And I'm pretty sure she started working right after that. You know what I mean? Because they invested a lot of money in that. And you wanna think that she appreciated it, that she actually honored it, and she actually behaved. Because some life happens. Life happens, and people are different. But hopefully she respected her family, and she's doing good. And I still have her number, and I communicated her with her maybe a couple years ago, and I probably could still just see how she's doing. But I just hope that she's doing better. She's reunited with her child. And that's just one quick story about how the desperation of actual of these migrants that actually are coming across. You know what I mean? It's desperate. It's what you call survival actually. All right, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe. Thanks.